All right. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I was just thinking to myself, like, just show me a little bit more of these orbs and then I'll start talking. I just love them. I love them. I love them. Woo. Okay. So I just had an amazing session and I have some things to say to you about this. This is first off, the conversation started with this person coming in wearing a beautiful dress. And I said, like, you look so beautiful. I love that dress on you. You look beautiful in it. And she said, thank you. I just thought to myself, like, I want to wear this beautiful dress and I don't need to be concerned about having a special occasion to wear it to, or feeling the thoughts in my head of being questioned of like, what are you dressed up so nice for? As though there needs to be a reason for it. And I said, that is amazing. I've just been on a dress kick myself in the past couple of months. I'm like, all I want to wear is dresses right now. And this feels like it really is coming from a place of self love, and feeling in her soft feminine vibrations a little bit as she's leaning into that soft love and realizing the internal worthiness and validation is not needing explanations or reasons for moving in a way that is just matching the internal state of inspiration, heart centered, inspired action, and self honoring. I feel like wearing a beautiful dress today, and so it shall be. And and then so many other conversations we're having that are matching this, of making very self-honoring choices. And she's saying to me, as I'm navigating these conversations and these dynamics and these boundary setting and alignment with my honoring my own internal feelings and thoughts and external needs in relationships as well, when I have a little moment of dipping too much into an empathy that feels that it places responsibility for the other person's emotions onto myself, I get this kick from within and I hear your voice and these little pieces of things that we've already talked about in several other therapy sessions pop into my mind that say, honor yourself. Don't minimize this. Don't dismiss it. You have to keep your truth at the center, your focal point, the epicenter of the vibrations that shift your own like internal tectonic plates, to allow this gravity of what is matching the energetic vibrations that you put out to come into your sphere. This is like a gravitational pull. It feels like that comes from dropping out of your head and this fear-based reenactment of attachment wounds and trauma, to be able to allow authenticity and true power that comes from the recognition of your divine worthiness, that heart-centered self-love, to blossom one petal at a time. And from this space, this deep unity within obliterates the darkness. And there's really no fear there. There is such an illusion in the more human programmed analytical mind space that comes from what we've learned rather than what we know to be true. And that learning is not always truth. It's not always truth. What you can be taught, what you can learn from different circumstances and early childhood relationships or attachment styles is not always echoing your deepest divine truth. There is a possibility of misalignment or contrast, which is sometimes helpful because, I think this is the piece where there's a lot of conversation about ego death. And you can hear as I say that in that way because I don't like that sentiment. Ego death, just like kill your ego. It feels, listen, when you're using the words like kill it, or like bring death to it, that's not higher guidance, is it? No, because the truer power and authenticity comes from the realizations of this deeper divine truth. You are love. You are the essence of love. And this is one of the things that she said to me in this session is, now that I've done more of this healing work and I've arrived at a deeper level of self-love than I've ever felt in my life before, when I have those little fears and those little dips that push me back into the unhealed space, I'm reminded from the inside of the truth that I am the love I give. I am the love that I give, not the love that I've received or have not received in this dynamic, right? This person's this person's ability or choicefulness or intentionality, whatever it be, the behaviors, they're showing up for me in this way or their lack of showing up for me in this way doesn't need to be a reflection of my worthiness. And now that I have sat back into this more intrinsic, unmovable place of truth, I see this glowing light from my heart center that is the eternal flame of I am energy, I am love, that shines in the darkest of rooms. And in this analogy, we can say the dark room is a relationship in which the person is not showing up in a reciprocal, respectful, considerate, consistent manner. They're not meeting our needs, and there's leakage of energy here happening, right? Then we can realize when we're in the dark room that we're in a dark room and not that we are that darkness, or not that we've caused that darkness, or not that we have ownership for teaching that darkness how to be light. We just feel the dissonance, look within, and follow where that light leads. And when we do that, the more attention we bring to our own worthiness, to our own truth of I am divine love energy, I am the love I give, it feels more effortless to draw more light into your life that matches that reciprocity through presence, through presence. This light allows me to be present with myself and to move in a way that honors it in all ways, in every conversation, in every boundary, in everything that doesn't serve me, that I release with loving consideration and compassion. And that I am energy that is deeply interwoven in this electromagnetic netting between all things allows me to rest in this assurance that everything I do that deeply honors this place of knowingness and this soul centered calling, vibrational pull that comes from deeply rooting and anchoring into my truth is always in the highest good of all beings, of all beings. When I remove myself from that dark room, release that energy, and follow what is my truth in the presence without the attachment ties to non realities. And what I mean by that is being stuck in the past or projecting into the future. But we had all these memories, but we built this up. But, you know, but what about all these times where this person did show me love? All of these things that are avoidance of presence and the truth and the knowingness of the now moment. Every moment is where you find that gravitational pull that is anchored into your soul alignments and that electric currency, that flow state energy, right? And on the other end of that, when you're in the future, well, maybe we'll be together someday. Well, what if this person can do the work and can arrive there? Well, I'm going to let them know that the only way we could be together is XYZ. And, getting too pulled into the future or potential outcomes. Both of those things are really just putting you in absolute non-realities, and it's going to disconnect you from what you know in this space. That is like your dial up. I'm thinking about the old internet access, there's definitely, I feel like at least a couple people who watch this who are going to be probably too young to know what I'm talking about, but that how do we connect into dial up? You have to be in presence. So if we're doing those, what about this or remember this time type of things, or the like in the future, well, I really am envisioning this happening and I'm feeding too much into potentials, or what could be if this person only did this, then this would work out and it might be all right or doable. Those are non-realities. And when you're in that past or present or a future based place, you're going up here to learned, taught programming, right? This is coming from attachment. That's coming from that place of suffering that happens through attachment that pulls us away from divine union within. That attachment that is anchored too far externally outside of us separates you from your own light and internal compass, right? So we're pulling back into presence and the now moment by dropping out of that analytical programmed future or past oriented place into what is your now truth. How do you simply honor exactly what's in front of you with what you are feeling and observing in your dynamics? Is it feeling self-honoring? Is it feeling reciprocal? Is it feeling like it matches what you deserve? You are a dream. You are a dream, and you deserve devotion and divine love in every way, in every relationship. Whether that is defined in a romantic context or a friendship, you name it, in all ways. Love is so ever present and so much more than within the confines of a romantic dynamic, right? If you are being treated in a sense of obligation, that is not, you are not being honored. You are not being honored. If somebody engages with you in any type of way that feels that you are an obligation, that definitely does not match the energy of I am the love I give and I am a dream. You are a dream. You are a dream. You deserve to be treated with the reciprocity of the love you so freely give. And by freely give, let's freely give that to ourselves so that your gravitational pull moves all things into your orbit that match this energy of divine union. I can't be separated from love. I cannot be separated from love because I recognize what I am made of. I recognize who I am on these deeper levels. And the notion of somebody saying that they're going to cut an electron, or I'm thinking of like quantum physics, whatever, like the dancing filaments of light, right? Like, laughable. You're going to tell me you were going to separate or split in half or divide that life force energy that is the smallest filament of light. You cannot do it. First off, when you zone into one single atom in quantum physics, you immediately lose it. It can only be visible in connection, right? I can't be separated from love. And in that presence, if your orbit draws you out of a dark room into light that is reciprocating, that space that you just created by honoring yourself may have allowed the flickering, dimly lit, flickering light that is inside of the other person that is orbiting in darkness. It might have given just enough darkness to allow that person to look inside, to go internal, to see that, what is this? This room is so dark. This room is so dark. I'll never see light again. What is this? Right? And so you do all things with this consideration of choosing yourself is honoring to all. It's honoring to all because we are so interconnected. I saw the most beautiful display of fireflies in my backyard a couple nights ago. Just amazing. I don't even have the words. I've seen fireflies before, but never like this. And they were just oh my goodness. Lighting up. There were so many, and they were lighting up in this way that felt kind of patterned. And I was just like, this feels to me like a metaphor or an analogy of the quantum entanglement and the oneness energy of all of this just lighting up. And the more each one of us finds that place of wholeness and unity and self-love and moves always in a way that first honors that deeper knowingness and truth from that heart-centered place of union and orientation to soul energy and the knowingness, that's it. I mean, this is, I think that is new earth energy. That's evolution. This is light up the world energy, right? Yes. Oh my goodness. All right. Let me think of any other little things. The why. So I have noticed this in many different sessions over a period of time when people are noticing that they're not being honored, and also ignoring or neglecting their own deep truths in dynamics where they're not being honored, and they are suffering connected to the external attachment wounds, leaking energy, overpouring into containers that cannot hold that volume, and certainly aren't providing, protecting, pursuing, showing up in the way that is deserved, as we come into, as these people are having these conversations with me and coming into safety and anchoring, that allows them to start acknowledging and validating, internal validation, these realizations and these deeper truths that they hold here. I'm not being honored, right? This is not feeling okay to me. That they go whoop, right back up into that analytical space and that fear-based projections or reflection of fears of rejection, abandonment, the attachment wounds that are a little piece of origination of the what we are taught, that lends itself to having some patterning that unfortunately allows us to have these reenactments where we get into dynamics where we are overpouring and allowing that, rather, and it creates an imbalanced energy, right? I'm noticing something doesn't feel good, and then it's like a but fixation on the whys. Why aren't they showing up for me in the way I need? Why aren't they consistent with me? Why are they neglecting my needs? Why are they unable to create emotional safety for me? Why maybe I didn't say it nicely enough the other 15 times where I tried to express my needs and wants in a respectful manner and was like gaslit and stonewalled, right? Why? Why? And it is really, it comes down to this. Is the why emotional unavailability? Is it, what's the intention? Do they deeply love me and they just are ignorant in some way? Do they care for me deeply and respect me, but they just didn't ever develop this skill set to show up in this way? Are their own unhealed wounds the reason why they're not able to engage in this place of reciprocity with me? And the answer could be yes, and then also, or is the reason why because this person genuinely is malignant with me, cold and calculating, and doesn't experience empathy and knows what they're doing to me and simply doesn't care, and it's been a facade that they're treating me kindly. This is like, I want to know how benign or malignant this tumor in my life is. I shouldn't say that way because I don't want to be dehumanizing. The point is, if you're asking all those whys, this person's the reality in presence is, I'm not being honored. This is the reality in presence. I'm not being honored. Right? I've communicated. I've made requests. I've let it be known, and a perpetuation of this pattern of me feeling emotionally unsafe, dishonored, and treated as an obligation is evident. And I know this here, my body knows this. And if my brain tries to ignore it, my body screams in a variety of different ways. Eczema, indigestion, lower back issues, low libido, extra painful periods, right? So the point is, when you are in that deeper space of presence, do the whys matter? Are the whys needed? Do you need to dissect and figure out all the convoluted configuring factors or contributing factors, external stressors? Do you need to have those answers? The question doesn't need to be posed. to begin with. It's like seeking answers to the wrong question, right? You don't need that question. You don't need that question. The only reason why you would need the answer to that question of, well, I need to know the details behind why this person is repeatedly not showing up for me in a way that feels respectful, reciprocal, honoring, considerate, consistent. I need to know why. The only reason you need to know why is if you are their therapist or them, even more so them. They need to know those answers. And it's none of your business. and and I don't mean to say that harshly. I just mean to say you are dipping into possibly some ingrained sexism of overpouring, feeling like you need to be the rescuer and the fixer, and dipping into past or future orientation if your brain is fixating on the I need to know why they are not showing up for me in this way. I don't know that you do. Is the answer going to change how you move? Are you going to drop your feelings and jump into trying to fix and rescue them from what is their own truths that they are meant to hold and show up for or work through independently of you? Because if it is dimming to you, if it is leaking your energy, if it is pulling you out potentially of inner union and alignment with yourself, no, you don't need to stick around to hear about the discovery, the fact finding, to the what you deeply know. And this again is intuition. This is why it is called the knowing versus the learning. I don't need to learn more about something I deeply know. I know I'm not being honored here. That's all I need to know. Okay. Woohoo! Okay. Ha. All right. So there was a piece earlier that I mentioned about, I made this kind of like, oh, kill the ego death type of thing because, and I feel like I didn't fully come back around or, thread that golden string through far enough. So I want to let me restart that. Oh, but I already have these beautiful orbs in it. Just be vulnerable. Okay. Okay. So yes, about your human identity. The piece of this is, I think there's a lot of themes and just parallels through some of the recordings and the messages that have been coming through of all of these 30 something videos that I've made so far. That is really about feeling the balance and the coming together of this integration of your humanness with your soul, and being able to have a human experience while being very soul embodied, allowing more and more of your higher self frequency to be embodied and to live the human experience through the space of the soul energy and the higher self guidance and the deeper truths and realizations of your line to divinity, of this, when you embody to come here as a human to have the human experience, you're not coming to fully be a soul. I mean, you are. That's always, you can't be pulled away from that. However, you don't need to kill your ego. Your human identity, this is a synonym with ego. Your human identity is here for a reason, and it doesn't need to be the enemy to living a soul embodied, aligned path, the way, right? The way. It is more about the coming together, this integration of the human identity and the energy of the mind with the soul alignment, so that the knowingness, when you're living in your divine truth in soul alignment from a heart centered place, is working in tandem with your mind and your humanness. And that identity becomes this intimate dance that is incredibly harmonious and aligning. And the human part of the experience that requires the identity is a sacred expression of your divinity. It allows a layer of duality and contrast that creates a tension through which your divinity can experience itself. And there's free will here, of course. So, can you experience the human programmed, fear based, fear equals separation, over identification with the human identity to the point that you lose sight of your eternal nature and your oversoul? Yes. Can you anchor so far into the what is a little bit more fleeting nature of the human identity, or like maybe not fleeting, maybe we should say the um, solitary, like confined. I want to say something like a very limited perspective that feels like a sliver, that when you pick one little piece of these things out of the puzzle, you lose sight of the layers of existence and the unbound nature of your oversoul, your eternal self, the higher self, the divine connection that you never lose, that expands across time, space, and many lifetimes that you may have incarnated, right? So, point being, yes, there's free will, and you can get so bound into the human identity that there is an inflated ego, or the ego and the fear that comes from a over identification with ego that chains you to a mirroring where you're just constantly chasing a carrot out in front of you with external validation, because everything that is outside of you feels like it is a reflection of who you are. You haven't sat long enough inside of a dark room to be able to discover what that tension can bring to light. Yeah, there's shadow work that can entrench you into lower vibrational energy that pulls you away from soul alignment. So I think ego work, or healing rather, is important. I also just think there's a way to bring a more divine approach to understanding the balance and sacredness that the humanness of you, including the mind and identity components, aren't meant to be, what's that thing where like somebody is cast out of the society? I can't remember the word. um, Exiled. That is not meant to be exiled. It's not meant to be viewed as the enemy, right? And in fact, I'm going to use something my sister just sent this little voice clip to me about a rainbow that I saw outside of my house. I've been seeing tons of rainbows outside of my house lately, and I just saw one last night, and it was so beautiful. It was like the brightest one I've seen in a while. And she said, this is like the journey you have been on with so many different things that have unfolded for you in your life, in your personal life, in your professional life, in your healing, etc., which is, the way you have integrated and brought together these shadowy places, the depths and pockets of human experience and identity with divinity and light, has created the prism through which the rainbow can appear. And I'm smiling and doing a little giggle because as I've gone through this healing journey, I have felt very much these ascensions and this healing that have happened in a way that feels like a rainbow. And the rainbow is the representation of the seven chakras, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, pink, blue, violet, clear, right? So this is what I mean is balance and integration and union. This is new human energy of coming into such a balance and a unity with remembrance while being embodied.